Marcel Monnier was in deep trouble. Trouble because he had to walk into this disgusting part of the house with its foul smell and the bugs crawling in every corner. Trouble because of his mother, who he felt was making him carry the weight of her mistakes, pushing everything on him as if telling him, "Figure it out yourself." He was also in trouble because the police suddenly showed up and forced him to give them a full tour of the house, including this depressing section. Trouble because if they insisted on checking every last corner, they would discover the secret he never wanted anyone to know. And if they discovered it, he had nothing he could say to justify it. Marcel really was trapped. He led the officers to the end of the hallway, where there was a tightly locked door, locked from the outside. The police asked him what was behind it. Marcel stayed silent for a moment, then said it was his sister's room. He hoped that answer would be enough, that now that they knew it was just his sister's room, they would move on and finish the rest of the tour. But the police told him to open it. Marcel said it wasn't necessary, that they had already disturbed him and his mother enough by barging into the house and didn't need to bother his sister too. But the police insisted. Marcel gave in. He unlocked the door and stepped aside. The officers walked into the room and froze. Inside, there were piles of filth and garbage, rotting food, trash swarming with insects and rats. In the middle of all that was a filthy straw mattress. And on that mattress was a skeleton, or something that looked like a skeleton except it was alive and moving. It was a woman, frail, skin and bone, showing signs of decades of neglect. She was Blanche Monnier, Marcel's sister, the daughter of the Monnier family who had been missing for 25 years. The Monniers were a wealthy, aristocratic family living in Poitiers, in western France, in a large home befitting their status. The father, Émile, ran an art society. The mother, Louise, was a housewife known in social circles for her charity work. Their son Marcel was a successful lawyer, and their daughter Blanche was a beautiful, lively young woman loved by everyone. They were the perfect 19th century French aristocratic family. The father died in 1876, leaving enough wealth for the family to maintain their status. Blanche was 26 at the time, famous for her beauty and bright personality. Suitors from wealthy families constantly proposed to her. But Blanche didn't care about money or social rank. She was rebellious, free-spirited, and wanted to live life her own way, wanted to fall in love before getting married. That's when she met a lawyer who lived nearby. He was older, not wealthy, from a humble family, but Blanche liked him, and he liked her. They clicked, fell deeply in love, and believed they had a future together. They agreed to marry and spend their lives together. One day, Blanche told her mother about him. Her mother, Louise, was traditional and believed marriage was meant to strengthen ties with other powerful families. She was furious. How could a Monnier girl throw herself away on a poor, nobody lawyer? She ordered Blanche to leave him, but Blanche refused, insisting it was her life and she would marry him no matter what her mother thought. Rumors began spreading around town. People whispered that Blanche was having an improper relationship, with some gossip even claiming she was pregnant. Mother Louise couldn't handle it. She felt the family's honor was at risk. One night, when Blanche returned home from seeing her lover, another argument broke out. Blanche finally threatened her mother. If she didn't stop interfering, she would run away and never come back. That was the breaking point. Louise called Marcel. Together, they grabbed Blanche, dragged her up to the attic, and locked her inside. Louise told her through the door that she could leave only if she promised to break up with the lawyer. Blanche refused. The attic was small, dark, and empty except for an old straw bed. Louise assumed Blanche would give up after one night and come to her senses. The next day Blanche still refused. Louise told her she could stay in the darkness until she learned to behave. Days passed, then weeks. With Blanche refusing to break, Louise withheld food. believing starvation would force her to surrender. But Blanche said she preferred to die of hunger than give up the man she loved. Even Marcel begged her just to say she would leave him, lie if she needed to, so their mother would let her out. But Blanche refused. People began to ask questions about her disappearance. Louise and Marcel told everyone Blanche had gone insane. They even cried in public to sell the story. Weeks turned into months, months into years, and eventually everyone forgot Blanche Monnier. In 1901, an anonymous letter reached the Attorney General in Poitiers, saying, "There is a woman locked up in Madame Monnier's house, held in appalling conditions for years." At first, police doubted it. Madame Monnier was a respected woman, and the letter had no name. But some officers remembered Blanche, how her story suddenly disappeared years earlier. They decided to investigate. Louise Monnier, now in her 70s, refused to speak to the police. She told them to talk to her son Marcel, who lived across the street. Marcel tried to stop them from searching the house, but the officers insisted. And that's how they discovered Blanche, locked in the attic after 25 years. She was 51 years old. She had not seen sunlight in decades. Her body was so thin the officers thought she might die at any moment. She lived in filth so overwhelming that the police could barely stand to stay inside. Emergency services were called immediately. When they carried her out, Blanche looked shocked, but also relieved. Her face softened when they bathed her and gave her clean clothes. News spread across France and then the world. Outrage exploded. Protesters gathered outside the Monnier home, demanding justice. Louise and Marcel were arrested. Louise died in jail 2 weeks later. Some say from shock, others say from guilt. Marcel was tried in court. He claimed he was innocent, that everything was his mother's doing, and he had nothing to do with it. The judge sentenced him to 18 months, but as a skilled lawyer, Marcel appealed the ruling and was fully acquitted, shocking the entire country. Neighbors and servants later admitted they knew Blanche was locked upstairs, but they said they believed she was mentally ill and that it was a private family matter. As for the anonymous letter, its writer was never confirmed. Some say it was the husband of a new maid who learned the truth. Blanche's lover died in 1885, 9 years after she was locked up. Blanche never knew. Blanche slowly recovered physically in the hospital. She gained weight and regained some ability to speak. But after 25 years in darkness and isolation, the psychological damage was permanent. She was moved to a care facility in Paris, where she spent the rest of her life peacefully until her natural death in 1913, 12 years after her rescue. The Monnier house no longer exists, but people who entered the attic after Blanche's rescue said the walls were covered with carvings and writings she had made over the years. Prayers, hearts, religious symbols, and the words she repeated the most: freedom, love, and so many things. Thank you for watching. This story has been stuck in my mind for a long time, and the only way I could get it out was by making this video. I hope I presented it in the right way. To this day, people still argue about Blanche. Was she really insane? Was she blinded by love? Or was her mother the one who truly wronged her? What exactly happened? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.